Good evening. Welcome to the Falls Township Board of Supervisors meeting for January 5th, 2015. It's about 7:10. We'll begin our meeting with the salute to the flag, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, going to begin. We did have an executive session beforehand. Mr. Clark, give us a summary, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the board held an executive session to discuss several personnel matters and one matter of litigation.
Thank you. Okay, this is a reorganization meeting, so it's not a typical supervisors meeting. That's why it's on a Monday and not on a Tuesday. We have to begin by appointing a temporary chairman for the board until a permanent chairman is appointed. Is there a motion for a temporary chair?
Make a motion to appoint Bob Harvey?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Item number 1 on our agenda is appointment of a chairman to the Falls Township Board of Supervisors for the 2015 year.
Make a motion to appoint Bob Harvey as chairman of the Board of Supervisors for 2015.
Seconded.
Motion made, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. Thank you very much. I appreciate, again, the trust you put in me, and I appreciate the work you do to help me do this job. Item number 2, a vice chairman appointment. Is there a motion for a vice chair?
I'll make a motion to appoint Jeff Dents as vice chair.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Secretary Treasurer appointment, item 3. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to appoint Jeff Rocco as secretary for
Seconded.
2015.
Second. You want to keep doing that job? Sign
Yeah,
all-
sure.
sign those checks?
Sorry.
All right, that's okay. Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Opposed? Item 4 is Assistant Secretary Treasurer. This has traditionally been the manager's job. In case the Secretary, Treasurer, or myself can't be there physically to sign a check that has to go out for a certain reason, then the manager has the ability to do that. Is there a motion to name Pete Gray as the Assistant Secretary Treasurer?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's important to note, too, that the chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, there's no extra compensation for any of that. We all get the same, roughly, well, it's $4,250 a year before taxes. That's the same for all of us. Public comment is item 5. Is anyone interested in public comment? Hold on, Mr. Gray. Don't blow out that hamstring like you did in playing kickball. I don't see any, no one's here really, and there are not many people here to speak. Officer Aarons is just back there, just sort of, hanging out, so I don't, all right, item 6 is establishing dates and times for the regular meetings of the Board of Supervisors. Thank you. Okay. It's been 7 o'clock on the first and third Tuesdays of the month for a few years now. Is there any interest in changing that?
Yeah, 7 works for me. Tuesdays are good.
Okay, is there a motion then to establish that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right. Item 6 is is the appointment of township solicitors and special counsel and setting the compensation for those individuals. Is there a motion for the solicitor for the township for the 2015 year?
I'll make a motion to appoint the firm of Rudolph Clark and Kirk as solicitor for the township.
No more Kirk.
Oh, I'm sorry, the paperwork says Kirk on it.
It should not. Mrs. Kirk hasn't been
Rudolph
with the
Clark
firm
and Gallagher, or just Rudolph Clark?
Well, just Rudolph Clark for now.
I'll make a motion to appoint the firm of Rudolph Clark as supervisor for the 2015 year. Solicitor, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, and do we have to state the rates? I believe we do.
Yes, you should.
The rates would be $170 per hour, and a rate of $300 per hour for land development. That would be charged to developers, not to the township. And those are the same rates as last year. So there's no increase in legal fees for this year. Okay, motion is made. Was there a second?
Yes, I second.
All right, motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Last year's rate, so we can compare Okay, we also have a labor council. For the past few years, it's been Jordan Yeager from Kurt and Hefner. And he has submitted a letter seeking reappointment. Is there a motion for Mr. Yeager?
So moved.
And his, go ahead, sorry.
I'll second that motion.
And his rate would be the same as last year, $140 per hour for general labor and $170 per hour for arbitrations and litigation. Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Alright. Okay, and those are all, oh, and land developments, excuse me. For the past, I believe it's been 12 years, Randy Flager has served as the land development attorney for the township. He has submitted a letter of interest to be reappointed. Again, the same rate as last year, $335 an hour, and that's charged to developers, not to the township. So is there a motion to reappoint Mr. Flager at that amount?
So
We
moved.
need the firm of Flagler and Associates this time.
Correct, I'm sorry, yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Mr.
So-
Gag?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, next would be appointment of engineers, township engineer and a traffic engineer. Mr. Sullivan, who is now with T&M, we were discussing earlier today how many firms have collapsed under, that Mr. Sullivan has been on that have gone by the wayside.
Only 4.
Only 4? All right, is that just since you've been here?
Yes.
Okay.
No, actually, there's one before I got here. So only 3 since I've been
All
here.
right, only 3 since you've been here. All right, so the albatross around the neck of engineering firms is Mr. Sullivan, currently working for T&M, and they have included a rate sheet, billable hours, which again is the same as last year. Is there an interest in having Mr. Sullivan back with T&M as our township engineer?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
For traffic engineer and also conflict engineer, we have had the firm of Remington, Vernon, Beach for the past couple of years. They've also attached they attached a rate sheet. It was a little bit different than last year's, but I did talk to them, and they're comfortable with using last year's rates. They had 1 or 2 minor changes, but it'll be essentially, it will be the same as the 2014 rate schedule for Remington, Vernon, Beach for conflict and traffic engineering and building code services. Because building code services. So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Now, do we have to appoint them to build as building code services, or no?
I think we've hired them, we use them.
I
if
don't think we
need them.
have in the past. I think we've been using them for the last several years.
Yeah.
and
They don't
it's-
do the electrical, that's a different company.
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
I don't
Okay.
believe we've done it the last several years. They just continue in that role.
right. Yeah, I think if we need them, I think it's a situation, I think arose if we needed them to go step in because there was some conflict with whoever we were using.
It only happened once, I think, when T&M first became on board here.
Right, that was a conflict engineer, yes.
Right.
That's the only time I've ever
Not the
seen this.
code official.
Not the
Correct.
code.
Conflict
right,
engineer.
Right. Okay, item number 9 is to consider the employment contract for the township manager. Let's see here. I'm looking for that. Oh, here it is. Mr. Gray, as township manager, is on a year-to-year contract. And this does establish the conditions of his employment here at the township, or employment agreement. Comments or questions from board members, or if there are none, is there a motion to act upon the township manager's agreement?
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement.
Seconded.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
We also have the chief of police agreement. Typically, this was because Chief Wilcox was hired in June of 2007, and so his employment agreement always ran from June to June, which caused some confusion simply because some of the pay increases and other benefits in the contract were following other contracts, and so if they kicked in January, when did his kick in if his was in June? And so this year we're doing it, and he's been agreeable to sort of change, so it's running from January to January, similar to the Township Managers Agreement, similar also to the labor agreements we have. Is there a motion to approve the Chief of Police's agreement as it has been presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, appointment of a vacancy board chairman. I did speak with Mrs. Goulding, who's been the vacancy board chair now for, I think, 11 years. She is interested. She's also communicated that to our township secretary. She was having some difficulty getting a letter together. She was having some computer malfunctions at her house and wasn't able to get a physical letter here, but I did talk to her earlier today, and she is interested in being reappointed vacancy chair. Vacancy chair, since I've been on the board for was going in my 12th year, has never actually been a position that needed to be used. If one of the board members were to leave the board for whatever reason, the law in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is that the remaining 4 board members would then vote on a replacement. I think actually Laura Makefield is doing this tomorrow for Mr. Stainthorpe, who passed away.
They are, yeah.
And if, for some reason, the 4 remaining board members could not agree, if it was always a 2-2 vote, I think it's after 30 days, the vacancy board chair would be named to the board as a tie-breaking vote, essentially. That absolutely hasn't happened. Don't remember the last time a board member left the board. Mr. Lindbergh, I think, left, or no, Mr. Lindbergh was replacement.
Wasn't it Ryan, Jim Ryan, January 2000?
Mr., no, there was somebody else after him. Scheffler, Mr. Scheffler, didn't he, or Scheffer? Didn't he leave?
Sheffer left, too.
Yeah, I think he left. Well, that
Dates
was,
me.
yeah, it was before most of us. Well, Mr. Gray was here, and Mrs. Pullen may have been doing, minutes, or I know. Okay, Officer Aarons was here. I know that. So, yeah, somebody was here, but that's how long it's been. It's a 1-year appointment. Mrs. Goulding is interested in taking it on again. Is there a motion to approve appointing her as the vacancy board chair?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and again, these are getting into the part of the meeting now where appointing people to various boards, commissions, and councils. The vast majority of these are unpaid. Vacancy board is unpaid. Most of these are volunteer. There are a couple that are paid, where the members get compensation for each meeting they attend. So that brings us to item 12. We have a lot of term expirations, and the vast majority of people that have their term expire want to be reappointed. And so I'll entertain any motions now from any board members about reappointing anybody that's currently listed.
Yeah, I see Mr. Goodwin in the audience. Mr. Goodwin has been on the TOFA board for 5, it's been 5, a whole term, and has interest in being reappointed. So I'd like to make that motion.
Seconded.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Abstain-
I abstain.
You can state on the record the basis of your abstention.
I abstain that Mr. Goodwin is my father-in-law.
Mr. Goodman wasn't going to admit it, but now.
Yeah,
he told it.
Mr. Goodman doesn't like to tell people that, but otherwise, yeah. All right. And that the TOFA board is a board that does get pay for their meetings, which is why Mr. Boraski is abstaining. He doesn't want to be seen as voting in favor of giving his father-in-law, a paid position. Other nominations to any of the boards or commissions?
Yeah, Mr. Al Brooks put in for the zoning hearing board. He's a current member and wishes to be reappointed to a 5-year term. I believe he served 1 year on it.
Okay.
It's a resolution. That's
It is a
number 1.
resolution.
It's a
that
resolution.
you have in front of you.
Resolution, yeah,
Thank you.
2015-1.
Yes.
It's easy, and I got that one.
There you go.
Second that motion.
Okay. Okay, comments or questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Laney Strolick was recently appointed to a 2-month term on the Parks and Rec Board, and she put in asking to be appointed to a full term. So I'll make a motion to appoint Laney Strolick to the Parks and Rec Board.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
We have 2 terms expired on the Planning Commission. Make a motion to appoint Mr. Rittler. It's a 4-year term. Rick's been on the board. I was there 6 years. He was there.
He was there when I was
Long
on.
time.
Yeah. Yeah, he
I'll
was.
second that motion.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been there. Yeah, I went on in 2002, I guess it was, and he was there. So yeah, he's been a very long time. He's a very valuable member of that board. All right, so motion made. I'll second that motion. No, you made. You second. Sorry, that's right. I got lost track of who's doing. No. That's fine. I lost track. Motion made and seconded to reappoint Mr. Rittler. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Last year we appointed Mr. Vergantino. I believe he just filled out my year I had left on my term, and he sent a letter in thanking us, and he doesn't wish to be reappointed. So at this point, there's one vacancy on the planning commission.
Okay. All right. And that'll be posted. It'll be updated after we go through all this. We'll be updating our website and also the township channel so people can see what's left here. All right. So let me see me try and catch up here on what we've done so far. Okay, Mr. Goodwin. All right. Okay, other, Mr. Brooks.
I'd just like to do the shade tree too, only because
Sure.
I represent that board too.
Sure.
I'll make a motion to appoint Jennifer Picardo to the Shade Tree Commission. It's a 5-year term.
Okay. She's also on the board asking to be reappointed.
Mhm.
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
I serve as a liaison to the Environmental Advisory Council, right, and there are 2 individuals whose terms have expired and both wish to be reappointed. So I'll make a motion to reappoint Eileen Donahue to a full term on the EAC.
Second.
Okay, motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
And also John Bentz, who's been on the EAC for a long time, which is to be reappointed. And I'll make a motion to reappoint Mr. Bentz.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we do have one member who did resign just last month, actually. She had only been on a very short time, but I guess personal matters intervened and she found that she just wasn't able to do it. And so we do have one opening on the EAC for anybody who might be interested in that.
We also have, on the park board, long-term member Ralph Asplin,
Yes.
who asked to be reappointed. So I'll make a motion to appoint Ralph Asplin to another term on the
Park and Rec.
Parks and Rec Board.
A second.
And he's been on, he's since before I got on. Yeah, so I think before I got involved. So yeah, he's also a very valuable member. So motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. All right. Okay. What else do we have here?
Police pension?
Okay. And we have 2 gentlemen who have been on the Police Pension Committee for a long time, Mr. Thomas Roach, Mr. Henry Conroy. Both wish to be reappointed. I guess a question, yeah, I mean, do we have to, can we do these both at once, or you guess because they're different? Well, these are annual appointments, so this, we could do it once because it's the
You
same term.
certainly can.
All right, so for Mr. Roach and Mr. Conroy to be reappointed for a 1-year term on the Police Pension Committee. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's, are you sure that's a 1-year term?
Yeah, they're every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, police pensions every year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What does the, I'm embarrassed to ask this, but what does the Historic Preservation Board do?
The Historic Preservation Commission was begun, there was a situation, it was right before I became part of, where I got involved in the township, of a log cabin that was sitting right on the corner of like Meeting House Square and Tyburn Road. And someone had bought the house that was there and was gonna knock it down, and no one realized until it was just about knocked down that the log cabin was, because it had been refinished on the outside, that it was hundreds of years old.
Yeah.
And so the Preservation Commission was started really as a way of kind of identifying historically, valuable parts of the township. It hasn't really had a lot to do simply because I think the board, and I'll take blame for this, hasn't really given it a whole lot to do. And so
Okay.
there's 2 members on it right now. There's a 5-member board. So I know Mrs. Regan, who's been on the board for a long time, is asked to be reappointed. One of the ideas I had, and it wouldn't really cost a whole lot of money, is there was a history of Falls Township that was written, I think, in 1993 by Mr. Sam Snipes. And one of the ideas I had was to ask this board to actually, or the members of this board to actually do sort of an updated version just over the past, a couple decades to update that history over some of the things. If we wanted to do that, I don't think it really costs very much money. Just give them probably just getting some articles off the Courier Times website, which would cost them a little bit of money, but otherwise to do some research. That's certainly something we could do if we wanted to have them do that.
Yeah, sounds good.
That's all right?
Yeah.
Board members? Okay. So would you like to reappoint Mrs. Regan?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
I will second.
All right. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Mr. Thomas Stafford has been a longtime volunteer for the Township Disabled Persons Advisory Board and also the Zoning Board for a long time, and he's on the Disabled Persons Advisory Board right now and wishes to be reappointed. So I'll make the motion to reappoint him.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And
I think just the Board of Appeals is left.
Board of Appeals, Cable Advisory Board.
Make a motion to appoint Michael Vanek to the Board of Appeals.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second, yeah.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And Cable Advisory, Mr. Rosso, his term expiration, I don't know if he wants to be back on
I
or not.
haven't spoke to him.
Okay, and he hasn't sent a letter in, so, and that's a board we can, they meet quarterly,
Yep.
so. And I think that's all the ones that we have. We do have a couple of vacancies on a couple boards. There were a couple people who did put letters of interest in for other boards to be on these seats. And we'll have some conversations with them over the next couple days and let them know where we have some vacancies and maybe they're interested in taking part in some of the vacancies.
I think we only did these two, right?
Yeah, but he must not have a letter in. So, okay. All right, so I think so we've done 12. Thank everybody for their help with that one. Item 13 is appointment of depositories by resolution. And I'll let Mr. Gray explain this.
Yes, each year, the board passes a resolution designating banking institutions as township depositories. The board is asked to consider this resolution for this year, 2015. 10 banks have been listed for consideration by the board, including 6 banks that we currently use, which are First National Bank and Trust, First Service Bank, Pennsylvania Local Government Investment Trust, or Pliget, SEI Investments, Invest, JP Morgan Chase Manhattan Bank. And there's also 4 other lists that we added on in the event the board ever wants to consider them, which include Bank of America, First Trust Bank, Citizens Bank, and TD Bank. The board is asked to consider this resolution at this time.
Okay. And Mr. Gray, how do we determine what money goes where? Do we ever shift money around? I mean, is there research done into competitive rates, et cetera? Can you explain
Yes.
that, please?
Yes, Pliget historically has given better rates than First National Bank. We try to move our, any money that is sitting into the Pliget accounts. If it's not needed for any short term, we put into a long-term investment such as a year or so. We also have our long-term host community fees restricted accounts in SEI. They are tied up in bonds. They are also in First National Bank of Newtown, also in bonds. Some of the other smaller banks, First Service Bank and Invest, they have smaller amounts. We just keep money there. But yes, we do periodically check our accounts to make sure we are getting good rates and try to get the best we can. But the rates right now are not the best in the world.
Okay. Any other comments or questions for Mr. Gray regarding the resolution?
If a new bank was to come along, somebody that's not on this list, is this something we only can do once a year, or?
I believe we can amend it. We could probably,
Okay.
yeah. So
The last 4 banks, we don't have any money invested with them right now.
we do not know.
Approximately how much do we have with First National Bank and Trust? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, about 18, 19 million.
Oh, that's it? It's a joke. And the First Service Bank?
First Service probably, I want to say about 50,000.
And then the rest is with Pliget, really?
Pliget, maybe about 2, 3 million. SEI has the police pension fund, that's about $18 million. It also has about $12 million for the host community fees, long-term restricted funds. Invest probably has about 25,000, not much at all.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
No, done.
No? Okay, is there a motion then to approve Resolution 15-2, establishing depositories for the township?
So moved.
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Item 14, recommendation to the Board of Auditors to set the treasurer's bond at $2 million. Mr. Gray, can you explain this, please?
Yes, each year there's a recommendation to the Board of Auditors for the treasurer's bond for $2 million. Each bond, there's 3 bonds. One is for the finance director, one is for the township manager, and the third one is for the treasurer secretary. And basically what that money is, the $2 million is to cover basically the costs of the bill list on a monthly basis. So if somebody were to take money from the township and leave.
Treasurer?
Yes, the treasurer, the $2 million would cover it.
So if Mr. Rocco decides to sort of, take off and, go to,
He's only going to Pittsburgh.
go to, yeah. Well, last time I went to Pittsburgh, it didn't end well.
That's right.
For the Steelers, I mean.
So we do get 3, and then tomorrow night at 5 PM is the Board of Auditors meeting. So that'll be taken up on their agenda at that meeting.
All right. Comments or questions regarding that?
No.
Okay. All right, is there a motion then to approve the recommendation to the Board of Auditors to set the treasurer's bond at $2 million?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, item 15, nominate delegate and an alternate to the State Association's 93rd Annual Education Conference and Trade Show, which is April 19th to April 22nd. This is what's called PSATS, which is an organization of township supervisors from all over the state to get together to go through different kinds of workshops, learning different things about running governments, townships like ours and smaller than ours. Most of them are smaller than ours all around the state. But I know this, I don't know if we sent anybody last year to this.
No, not the
It's
last
been
two.
tough to,
Very inconvenient.
it's very inconvenient. It's during the weekday. Most townships in this state are very small, that are classified as we're a second-class township. Most of them are very, very small. And a lot of the township supervisors are actually employees of the township that they are supervisors of. And so they kind of can give themselves a day off or 2 or 3 days off and go to Hershey and go to this conference. There was a time when we could send people, just, it's during a weekday. Taking 3 days off is not something I can do, and I know Mr. Galloway's in the same kind of position I am in terms of our schedules. And for the other, gentlemen, there's work that has to be done. And so it's not a very convenient thing to do. Occasionally we'll send the township manager if he has the ability to go, just so he can take advantage of some of the things that they have there, some of the informative. I know, Mr., you've gone before.
I've gone, yeah. It was very informative when I went.
So, but,
There's different seminars for, all day long. So if you find something that interests you, you can go up for just a day. It's worth the trip.
all right. So, and that's something we can come back to. We don't have to appoint anybody tonight. Okay, the next item is the fee schedule for code, fire, and parks and recreation. This establishes the various fees for anything from the Pinewood Pool to getting inspections for electrical work or for big projects, small projects, fire codes, everything else. Mr. Gray, how would you, any summaries of this in terms of increases? I think we've done some increases. Tried to hold things when the recession was going bad. We tried to hold everything as stable as we could to help people out, but obviously that we start to fall behind after a while. Our code enforcement doesn't make money. Our code enforcement office usually loses money every year in terms of the costs that we have for our employees versus the money that comes in to do the different inspections. But go ahead, Mr. Gray.
Yes, there were some minor changes, including earth disturbance charge for the Code Enforcement Department. Park and Rec Department fee schedule includes new programs. There were minor increases for the pavilion rental fees, the pool membership rates, and the summer camp rates as well. And that's just to cover the costs that we incur here at the township.
Okay. All right, thank you. Comments or questions for Mr. Gray regarding the fee schedule?
I have none.
No.
Okay, so this would be a resolution 15-3.
Yes.
okay, which would establish the fee schedule relating to subdivision, land development, security accounts, earth disturbance escrow accounts, parks and recreation services, fire permit inspections, and miscellaneous fees. Is there a motion to approve 15-3?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and next item are the minutes from our last meeting, which was December 16th, 2014. Are there any comments or questions regarding the minutes?
Excellent minutes as always, Mrs. Pullen.
Yeah.
Everybody all right? Hearing no objections or corrections or suggestions, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Executive session we had earlier. Manager comment, Mr. Gray?
Nothing tonight, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Board comment, Mr. Rocco?
Just real quick, I guess, I think 2014, we did a lot of good things. I'm actually planning on running through the minutes and providing a summary. Just kind of a look back on all the things we've gotten done, so I'm proud of what we did. I'm looking forward to 2015, so that's it. Good night.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dents?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to 2015. Another great year. Some of us are running for re-election this year. Hopefully we'll be back in 2016. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Boraski?
Yeah, thank you. I'd just like to thank all the volunteers. Did a lot of appointments tonight. I noticed there was some resignation letters of people that have been on some of these boards for quite some time. So thank you to those who have resigned, and thank you to new volunteers.
Okay.
That's it.
Mr. Galloway?
Not just a happy new year to everyone, and looking forward to starting a whole new year next Tuesday. Thank you.
Okay. And yeah, just echo the statement Mr. Boraski said it very well. A lot of people, there's a lot of work that goes into making the township go and making it the great community it is, and a lot of it is volunteers. And we did a lot of appointments tonight, and we're always happy to have them, and we have some openings, some vacancies. These are organizations, or these are boards and commissions that meet once a month. Some of them actually a little less than that. The meetings are typically, well, more like this meeting. It's like, 45 minutes or so, about half an hour. They're not like some people might remember the meetings we used to have here, township meetings where we were here till 11, 12 o'clock at night. They're not like that. But they really are a lot of good people from all over the township who have an interest in different things, and they want to get involved. They want to make things better and improve on an already great community. So we thank them for all their work. And one thing, I was talking to Mr. Gray earlier today. He mentioned that he was getting inundated with a lot of emails and from people, most of them not from Falls Township, about a company called Elcon, which is a wastewater treatment company that is proposing to come into the KIPC. And they were here in the late spring, maybe June or May. Was it that far back? Oh, okay, I didn't think it was that far back. They were here last year, early last year, just making a very basic presentation as to what they were going to do. There was a hearing here in December in this room that was held by the DEP, Department of Environmental Protection for Pennsylvania. It was not in front of us. There's currently a lot of misinformation about this company. They actually haven't presented anything to us. They have to get a lot of permits from the DEP before they can even present something to us. A lot of people are assuming that this is the same company that was going to build an incinerator down in Bristol Township last year. That is not the case. This is not an incinerator. This is a company that takes water that's used by the pharmaceutical industry and sometimes by chemical industries and sometimes by oil industry, takes that water, purifies it, and actually then sells it as distilled water to companies that use distilled water. It's actually, if anything, a pretty environmentally friendly company, but there's a lot of misinformation based just on the emails that Mr. Gray's been getting and things I've been hearing. A lot of people thinking this is something that's not. But we don't have any action to take simply because they haven't gotten any permits to do anything yet. So when you hear about meetings being held, like in this room, it's not a meeting with us. The DEP asked if they could use our room since this is a company coming into our township. it's a public meeting room, anybody can use it. And so we, they scheduled the meeting, they held the meeting. Well, none of us were even there, I don't think.
No.
I know some members of the EAC went to hear the presentation. They were, I think some of the only false residents there. But I just want to, let people, keep people aware. Obviously, we know what the company's about. They have a long way to go before they come before us, if they even get to us, if they get what they need from Pennsylvania, the state of Pennsylvania. So, but I was hearing enough that it was bothering me. I wanted to make sure people understood what the facts were as we know them. So with that, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.